Warren Buffett's $5 billion mystery investment has finally been revealed. Last night, Buffett, along with all the other Wall Street heavyweights, filed their quarterly 13F reports. These filings reveal what stocks they bought and or sold over the prior quarter. And Wall Street, along with most retail investors, has been anxiously awaiting this release because rumors have been about that Warren Buffett made this mysterious $5 billion investment in the second quarter, and everyone has been anxious to find out what it was. Well, I'm going to tell you what it was. I'm going to show you the other stocks he bought, and even reveal the theme behind them, because all but one of the stocks purchased by Mr. Buffett in the last quarter are in the same sector. This is a sector I've been paying great attention to over the last couple of months. I believe could be one of the leading areas of the market through the end of 2025 and into 2026. And seeing this action from the Berkshire Hathaway team has given me even further confirmation. So let's dive right in. Now, this is his report. You can see which stocks he bought or sold between April and the end of June of this year, 2025. Now, firstly, this is not his entire portfolio. This only shows action taken during the second quarter. So he still has his big positions in American Express, in Coca-Cola, all the same bellwether stocks he's owned for decades. But look at the adjustments. Now, he sold a couple. Most of these are small trims. The only big sells, he got rid of half his position in Charter, and he completely got out of T-Mobile, obviously gave up on those investments. But all the buys are in green, and I want to focus on the biggest ones. Now, as I said, all but one of these stocks in the same sector, and that sector is the home building sector. You notice he made new buys in Allegion, which is a building materials company. He made a big new buy or increased his position greatly in Lennar, which is a home builder, in Pool Corp, which of course builds pools that tend to get put in when someone builds a new house. So the theme behind these investments is very clear. Buffett and his team at Berkshire Hathaway are betting heavily on a housing boom throughout 2025 and 2026. Now, the biggest purchase he made, and really the only one outside of the housing sector, is UnitedHealth, ticker UNH. As you can see there in the middle of the list, he purchased 5,039,564 shares of the stock in the second quarter, so roughly a $1.5 billion position. So as it turns out, there was no $5 billion mystery investment. There was $5 billion spread across 3 or 4 investments. Now, UnitedHealth's a pretty obvious one for someone like Buffett. He is, by and far, without question, a value investor. He said many times that his favorite investment is when he can find a good company going through temporary hardship, and he wants to, as he says, buy them off the operating table. And no company fits this bill better than UnitedHealth. Their CEO was assassinated earlier this year. The stock took a big tumble on that. They've had more negative news come out since then, and shares have capitulated. In fact, they're down more than 50% just over the last quarter. So if it gets back to where it traded beginning of the year, it's looking at a double or more. Now, personally, I'm not big on healthcare stocks. I don't think it's a good environment for those companies. I think with the administration we have in charge, they're not going to be doing the usual favors for this sector. So it's not one I would want to get in on. But listen, if you're Warren Buffett, your options are much more limited. You're trying to put billions into companies. There's only so many of these large and mega cap stocks you can get that much cash into, and this one clearly fits the bill. But all the others, at least all the big purchases, come in the construction sector, and the macro view makes total sense. Interest rates or mortgage rates are somewhere around 7% as of the time of this recording, up big from the 2.5% or 3% we were seeing just a few years ago. And every expert from California to Tokyo expected rates to be much lower by now. They have held much, much higher than anyone forecast coming. And so what has happened is there's this giant pent-up supply in the housing market. There are tens of millions of people in 3 and 3.25% and 3.5% mortgages who just cannot see any way to sell their home and buy another one at twice the interest rate. What these buyers have been waiting for is some relief in rates. I don't think anyone thinks they're going to see 3% again, but 5.5%, 5.25% bring a lot of folks off the sidelines. And that is what we're expecting to see in 2026. President Donald Trump has made no apologies about his request to drastically cut interest rates. In fact, even within the Federal Reserve, while Powell decided not to cut interest rates at the last meeting, for the first time in history, two of the Federal Reserve Board governors dissented. They disagreed with Powell and thought they should have been cut. And that has never happened before. Finally, we have Buffett, the Secretary of the Treasury, calling for a 150 basis point cut to interest rates, which would be the largest in history. Now, I've done a video on why I believe we are going to see the biggest interest rate cut in history take place in 2026. And that's going to line up perfectly with this proposed boom in the housing sector. As rates come down, all the sideline buyers are finally going to come into the market. We'll likely see a huge uptick in construction, which is going to benefit home builders. It's going to benefit building materials companies. It's going to benefit the financials who write the loans and a lot of others in those related sectors. Now, one of the things I do is track the sectors that are outperforming the others. And this is one of the big secrets to investing, a way to find where the big institutional dollars are flowing. And as you can see, over the last 30, 60, up to 90 days, we've seen the home building stocks, we've seen the building material stocks begin to rise up the ranks. This is usually indicative of a reallocation on Wall Street as big investors move to these housing and construction stocks. And the home building sector is the top performing sector over the last month. The building materials sector ranks number 4 out of 40. So 2 of the top 4 are both construction. Same deal over the 2-month period. And we're beginning to see them rise up the ranks in the 3 and 6 month as well. So everything is kind of lining up here. We're beginning to see money flow into builders and building material stocks. We're getting confirmation from Buffett and others that they are, in fact, buying up those stocks in those sectors. We have the White House, we have the Secretary of the Treasury, all championing lower interest rates. We have several members of the Federal Reserve itself saying they should be lower already. Inside of the big, beautiful bill was the return of 100% bonus depreciation, which is a huge tax break for those in the real estate and construction sectors, where new projects can be bonus depreciated and take massive tax breaks off those upfront costs. So it just encourages more construction, more building. So all of this put together is likely to cause a housing boom over the next 12 to 24 months. Buffett and his team think so. A lot of the top Wall Street firms think so. I think so. And so for that reason, I have allocated some money to these sectors. And there's 2 main ETFs you can use to get exposure to the entire sector if you don't want to pick stocks. One of them is ITB. This is the iShares Home Construction ETF, and it just holds a basket of home building stocks. Another way to do it is PKB, which is the Invesco Building and Construction ETF. So it holds a basket of not just home builders, but also building material stocks. And based on everything I'm seeing, this appears to be an area that wants to run and will likely outperform across the second half of 2025 and into 2026. So if you have not already, hit that subscribe button down there in the corner. That way you'll get these updates. You'll see these videos inside of your YouTube feed. And be sure to join me Monday morning, 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. I'm holding a 1-hour live session here on YouTube. We're going to walk you through the entire investment process. I'm going to show you how to identify which stocks are leading, the breakout patterns you want to use. I'll take all of your questions. So I'm looking forward to this, and we'll see how it goes. But click the subscribe button, join me on Monday, and I'll see you in the next video.